Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with the 11th and final video in our Platinum Trophy Guide redo of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. In the last video, we'd finally gone through and taken on the final boss, Bale, and watched the credits to get the secret trophy thanking us for playing the game, as well as getting another trophy for beating Bale, the final boss. Now do note there is one hidden boss left in the game that you're not going to find by normal means. I will go into detail about that, but first I think before doing that you should get prepared and get some other things done out of the way. So like I said before in previous videos, there are the 4 key rooms that you'll need to find, one of which is just found in the Livre Ex Machina, that is the Celeste room. The other one is found in the Hall of Termination. It's where we fought the Bane of the Millionaire. It's where you it's where we got the part for the Rava Villar. The other one is found here, just right here, in the Garden of Silence, and then the last one is found in the Oriental Sorcery Lab, right here, just above the teleporter. Now, obviously, I'm going to show you guys all of these fights, of course, except for the one that you've already seen, which is the Millionaire fight. So I'm going to go to the Garden of Silence one, which is right here, and show you guys that fight. And basically all of these enemies that you'll have to fight, they do drop a shard, and they do have a unique drop, which is a very specific item like a skull or a bone or something like that that you will need to get for crafting, so do keep that in mind. So I'll see you once we're there. Alright, as you can see right here is one of the 4 doors, the Warhorse's room with the Revenant boss inside. Depending on things, this boss can be very easy or very tough. I'm calling it a boss because it has a very high HP pool. Basically what you're going to want to do is try and just get behind him and bait him into jumping backwards or using his whip if he can. He will throw objects at you, so do be careful of that. And then whenever he does get in front of you or behind you, however you want to look at it, as you see, you then want to try and bait him into attacking. And then all you're going to want to do is just slide forward. To avoid his whip. As you'll see, it does a lot of damage. And then whenever you can, just use your Aqua Stream for the most amount of damage. And then be careful of his thrown objects, like I said. Whenever you get a stun on him, it's probably the best chance to maximize your damage. As you can see, he does have a very high health pool. Do note you don't have to immediately do this fight like I'm doing it. You can always wait till you're higher level. But just like that, you will have beaten him, and if you didn't get the shard from beating him, Ruinous Blood, you will have to refight him again, which does suck a bit. I think he's one of the easier of the 3 terms of fighting. But now we're going to head up to the Oriental Sorcery Lab to fight the next one. Alright, so as you can see right here, just above the teleporter room is the next little mini boss that you could fight, and this is going to be the Carpenter. Now the main issue with the Carpenter is the room is very small, and he likes to summon a bunch of the archdemons. And he also has very devastating attacks from his blades that he likes to throw. The best chance to get damage on him is whenever he's summoning one of the demons. It's best to try and take them out whenever you can. Do note he can summon multiple at a time. As you can see, this fight is probably the tougher of the three in my opinion, just because of him summoning so much. The upside is that his HP isn't that high. But as you can see, you're going to go through a lot of healing items when fighting him. So do be careful. And do be careful of the giant blade here in the back as well. But as you'll see, just like that, I'll have defeated him, but I didn't get the shard from him. Like I said before, if you don't get the shard, you will have to refight them. This is more or less just to show you guys what the fights are. Like I said, if you don't feel like doing these now, you can always wait to come back and do them when you're higher level and all that good jazz. Trust me, it does wonders, but for the sake of things, I'm just going to show you guys. And then I have shown the Bane of Millionaires off, but I will show it again for the sake of it, and it is found right here in the Hall of Termination. So I'll see you there. Alright, like I said before, here in the Hall of Termination you'll find the Millionaire's Room, and you'll find the Millionaire's Bane. This is probably the easier of the mini-bosses to fight. Some of his attacks, like the cannon that you just seen, are probably the most annoying to deal with. Basically, the best place is the corners. Don't forget to take off your shards if you get any. This is also a somewhat decent source of money, depending, of course. Like I said, I think this is one of the easier ones of the 4 that you can fight. Main thing that you're also trying to go for with this is you're also trying to just go for a lucky 7. And that will end the fight fairly quickly, but it is completely random when you get it, if you do get it at all. As you'll see, sometimes the fight can just drag on. He can also summon a Lily, as you'll see. She doesn't really last all that long because of our build. But as you'll see, the fight is fairly easy once you get familiar with its mechanics, and just how to dodge the Millionaire's Bane. But we have one more little mini boss to face after this one. That one is probably the most difficult in my opinion. Like I said, you'll get more familiar with how this fight goes. Hopefully it's over soon. Nope, just more money. But I think you guys get the gist of this fight, so I'll probably be moving on from here. I'll try one more time to see if we get the 7s. Nope. Alright, we move on. After you have beaten them, you can just leave the rooms. You don't have to specifically stay in those areas. But we're going to be staying in the same area, so don't worry. Alright, so from here, you're just going to head up to that area that I mentioned before, up here. You can just skip past the enemies if you're feeling daring. This is the hardest, in my opinion, of the mini bosses, but now you'll finally interact with the bookshelf here, and this will take you to the 8-bit nightmare. Do note, I highly recommend staying in this first area and trying to get some of these zombies to spawn, as you'll see, like so. And try to farm them for their shard. Do note the 8-bit skull also drops a shard as well as the ghost enemy. If you don't get it, don't worry. The main focus of right now is simply to just show you guys the area and the boss as well. I'm just not getting lucky. As you'll see though, we can kind of run through the area. like so. But once you're ready, you can head through the door, and you'll probably fight the toughest boss, or little mini boss, that, in my opinion, out of the main 4. So this is the 8-bit Overlord, as you'll see. You can basically only attack his face. As you can see, pretty much all of these attacks do a lot of damage. Do be careful though, as he can combo you fairly easily. As you'll see, I'm not doing so well. But once you get later into the fight, he'll also have newer attacks as well. This one is probably the hardest of the shards to farm for the 8-bit area. As you can see, he does not make it easy. But just like that, he'll be defeated. Like I said, if you don't get the shards to drop from them, you will have to refight them again. Like I said, you don't have to do that immediately, but if you want to, you can. That way you can kind of get a better feel for how the fight will go. Because just watching is a little bit different than actually experiencing it. And do note that just because my build works for me doesn't mean that it works for you. Like I said, this is all about whatever you feel is most comfortable. Now the next thing I'd like to talk, or next 2 things I'd like to talk about, are found in the Den of Behemoths here. So we'll go and do that. Now the first thing is you can probably take the teleporter right here to make your life a little bit easier. But basically we're going to go back to the big room right here just after the high roller boss, and I'm going to show you guys a really good way of farming XP. I'm going to show you 2 ways, of course. One is in the actual Den of Behemoths, and the other one is in the Glacial Tomb. Like I said, the best way to do that as well will be to have the weighted ring on, or you don't have to use it, of course. It's just a preference, as it will increase your overall experience. The other thing that you can go ahead and do while you're at it is head over to D, or OD, in the Livre Ex Machina, right over here, and we can grab a book from him that will also make it a little bit easier. He'll also have, I think, a couple of new books along the way. Let's see what he has. There is a very specific book I will mention and will say just wait to do.
You've proven yourself
The
trustworthy.
Godsend Tome.
Feel free to take out more books at once if you like.
But basically I believe it's the Mastery Tome. Or the Tactician's Tome. That one will greatly help you out on getting more XP overall, as well as equipping the weighted ring. Like I said, this will just give you an overall increase to your XP gain. So if you want to do that, you can. But I will see you guys in the Glacial Tomb first, and then right here in this room of the Den of Behemoths. Alright, so the first XP spot that I recommend is here in the Glacial Tomb. As you'll see right here, basically all it is you'll come like so, jump behind this guy. He can drop the Fiend Skull and Orichalcum. Now, depending on things, you're also going to want to have the Dimension Shift ready to go. Whenever the second guy throws his axe, just simply walk away.
Dimension Shift!
And you can Dimension Shift right behind him. Boom, just like that, you will get a decent amount of XP, and then you simply just will leave. As you see, and then this one you can come over here, jump over and land on the rock, because sometimes when he grabs his axe it'll still count as damage, but overall it is one of the ways to get XP. Now the next one I'm going to show you guys, like I said, is right here in the Den of Behemoths when exiting the High Roller boss room. Alright, like I said, the next one is right here in the Den of Behemoths. So basically you're going to want to enter and exit the High Roller boss room. You'll come out here, you'll fight the Marbus, the Giant Mort, and the Official Guardian. That's all you really want to care about. As you'll see, you'll get a decent amount of XP, and then as well, you can Blood Steal to gain HP back. Pretty consistent overall. As you see, I started out with a little under 20,000. I'm at 16,000 right now. We'll do a run just so you can see how much you get. Do notice this is not fast at all. But just killing these 4 enemies gets you roughly 5,000 XP a run. And then as well, you can also equip the weighted ring, like I said. Alright, so now we're actually going to go over here to this side of the Den of Behemoths real quickly, as there is a shard we're going to grab while we're here. Trust me, it makes sense to just do it like this. And then we're also going to move on to the next shard that is worth mentioning, as it's one of the few enemies that are very hidden in the game. So yeah. Alright, so as you guys can see, I'm all the way over here on the left path of the Den of Behemoths. You'll know you're in the right area because you'll see this blue ninja-like dude. Now, basically what you want to do for this fight, or not really a fight, but this challenge, is equip the Aegis Plate, the Speed Belt, or whatever ability you would like. I think the backstep is going to be a lot easier. Then all you're going to want to do is simply try and outmaneuver this guy here. It's a pretty easy fight, considering he has to do a bunch of jumps and stuff. But we can just do this, as you'll see. And just like that, you'll make it really easy on yourself. to make it to the finish line before he does, and upon completing it, you will get a shard, guaranteed no matter what. Don't worry, it's not a random chance of getting it, it's always going to happen, the accelerator. So now we're going to head to the train, actually, on the Bridge of Evil. So I'll see you guys there once we're on the train. Probably the best path will be to go from the actual lab here to backtrack onto the train. So I'll see you guys once we are there. Alright, so depending on where you entered the train from, there'll be a prompt to hit up on the D-pad to reboard the train, and you'll make it to about right here. You'll know you're in the right spot because you'll have this specific door that you have to open. As you'll see right here, make sure that you have whatever is best equipped for you. You'll want to sit and wait at this window. It'll take a bit of time, and you'll know how it'll be right because the enemy will slowly appear. Trust me, it is a very annoying enemy to fight. But basically, after a certain amount of time sitting at this window, the enemy will start coming toward you. And this is a curse-related enemy, so do be ready to try and invert very quickly. I'll explain why in just a second once it appears. You'll have to act very quickly as this enemy can kill you pretty quickly as well, so do keep that in mind. Like I said, it will take some time for it to appear, but once it does, you will know. As you'll see, here it is. And you want to wait until you see its face pop up, and then you'll want to start holding left, like so. Jump up, and then invert. Then just start going to town on him using your MP. You'll want to wait until your curse wears off, of course, as you'll see, like so. And that will get you that enemy. Do note that this enemy also drops a shard. Like I said, if you don't get the shard, you can always reload the save, or if you're doing very well, you can farm him. But I'm not going to, as that's just not necessary for me. But like I said, you're going to want to farm him, and that will get you another shard as well. Now, for the sake of things, I'm once again going to swap over to my main save to show you guys the full detailed map, so you guys can see that once again, just so you guys have that for reference, of course. So yeah. Alright, so like I said before, this is the full map. As you can see, this is the Galleon Minerva. We'll then move over to Arvinville. Then we'll enter into the main area. I'll include the Oriental Sorcery Lab just so you guys can see it. Now, depending on things, you might just want to get a picture, so you can go onto like Google or something and look up the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night full map in detail, as you'll see, and that might make life a little bit easier. Move on over to this area. Then I'll try and get all of the underground area as well, just to show you guys. Then I'll come over here, get the Towers of Twin Dragons, as well as the Den of Behemoths and the Glacial Tomb. That will get you the 100% complete for the overall map. So now we'll head back and I'll show you guys the couple of farming spots that are going to make your life a little bit easier, just so you guys have them. Alright, so the first farm that you're going to want to need, and it's probably the most important one, is the Alkahest farm, as that's going to be used in a lot of your breakdowns and things like that when you're crafting things. That way you can craft something, that way you have it, and then can buy it, and then you'll break it down so you get your parts back. This is really important whenever it comes to the cooking aspect. But I'll show you the build that I go for. I'm mainly using Tiz Rosian. Now, in order to even get Tiz Rosian, you'll have to farm the Volsha right here to get the Tiz Wraith. Then you'll need to go back to Johannes and craft Tis Resign using Tis Wraith and I believe a diamond. The main reason why we're doing that is because if we come over here, as you'll see like that, boom, from these two ghosts very quickly, as you'll see, you can farm them and get 2 Alkahest every single time that you do this. The max, of course, is 99, but this will help you out whenever it comes to farming and getting all of the resources for crafting and things like that, and getting 100%. Now I'm going to show you probably the next farm, and that's for a very rare item found in the Oriental Sorcery Lab, found right in the room next to the teleporter, which is pretty convenient. Alright, so as you'll see right here in the Oriental Sorcery Lab, all you're going to want to do is simply farm the Haginti over and over again, as it has a item that is a 2% chance to drop, pretty rare, and that is a meat item. You'll need, I think, 4 of them, or if you're wanting to save on time, you'll simply need 2 of them. As you'll see, it might take a bit of time to farm it, as it is very low drop chance. But the build I'm using is the Valkyrie Tiara, Valkyrie Dress, the double Plunderer's Ring because that they do stack, and then trying to go for max luck. In doing so, that will guarantee the highest chance of getting something to drop. Obviously, if you want to, you can always wait to do this once you are ready for just cleaning up and wanting to craft everything. As there's maybe one more thing to show you guys in terms of farming as well. And then I will show you guys probably 2 more things after that in regards to cleaning up the platinum trophy for Bloodstained. But I'm going to go until I get the item so you guys can actually see what it is. Alright, so as you can see, it is called Flying Beef. Now, it is very rare. Now, another thing that you might want to farm is the Crimsonite from the ninjas here. Or if you happen to have already gotten a decent amount of it, then you don't have to, of course. But the next farm is actually going to be one that is very important, as it will be related to gold. So if you come all the way down here to the Forbidden Underground Waterway, I'll show you guys the best way to farm and get gold. Now do note this will require you to have to go back to the Hidden Desert and farm Alkahest a lot, as that is probably the #1 thing you're going to be doing in between all of this. So what you're going to do is you're just going to farm the Glasston right here, and you're going to get the Iamur weapon. That's all you're going to do. Now the main reason why you're doing that is because when you break it down, it gives you gold. Now the downside, of course, is that it's roughly 13 Alkahest to break down, which is a lot of Alkahest, but since it takes roughly no time at all to get roughly 99, it's not too bad, of course, but still it is quite a grind. And that's just for one item that you're going to need quite a lot of. I do think that there is a lot of recipes that require gold in some shape or form as well. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, you're just going to farm this enemy here for the, I'll just show you the weapon so you see it. The, like I said, Iamur. When you break this down, it gives you gold. So as of now, the last couple things that you should have to do is get all of the shards and basically the archives. Your demons should be pretty good overall. There should only be a couple that you haven't fought, and I do believe I only have 1 I'm missing so far. No, 2. I will show the full item and stuff like that from my actual main save so you guys can see that. Now, the next thing we're going to do is in Libra Ex Machina, and we're going to be talking to OD and grabbing that one book I told you not to grab just yet until you are fully prepared and ready. So come and speak to OD. We can then get rid of this tome, grab the Godsend tome, which he will specifically warn us about. Now, depending on things, you can also take the Might tome and whatever other tome you might want. I'm actually going to take the Sentinel tome because having a lot of defense is nice, and I'm going to grab the Fortune tome.
Be certain to return what you...
Now, that Godsend tome is very specific because it requires us to
change.
Basically, yeah, it's basically going to trigger the boss fight with OD. Now, he is the secret boss of the game, and you'll fight him in that room I mentioned in the Glacial Tomb. It is right here. Now, like I said, for most of the bosses, you're going to want to make sure you have plenty of healing items and make sure you are prepared to do this fight. Pardon me. So, before doing that, like I said, if you want to go farm items or whatever, by all means, I will then also show you my setup for this. I'm not using the Valkyrie stuff. Instead, I'm actually going to be using the Demon Horn, Coronation Crown, which you can make. I'm then going to be using the Black Belt. And then whatever you want your other item to be is entirely up to you, of course. Like I said, it's fully up to you what you guys want it to be. Basically, whatever you think will give you the most amount of power, or you could go for something that you think will be really good. I'm going to go for the Critical Ring, and then I don't think I have a better Scarf. But I'm going to go farm a little bit and get some more healing items because I have used quite a bit of them, and I'll see you once we're ready to take on OD here in the Glacial Tomb. Alright, so I did mess up a bit, guys. So in order to actually fight OD, you will need to at least achieve a 99% of your map completion. Wherever it is that you think you're missing some holes, you'll just go do that. And you want to achieve 99%, and then you can borrow a specific book from him. I grabbed the wrong book. That is on me. I will now go show you guys the right book to grab. Alright, so this is the actual book that you need to check out. Basically,
I'll go with this.
You'll need to equip this.
That tome is a...
He'll say that the tome is especially important, so make sure not to mess it up or forget to return it. So now we can finally head back to the Glacial Tomb and fight him. A bit annoying, but just bear with me. Alright, so now that you are able to fight OD, one last thing I should mention is passive shards. Now, when you fully upgrade a shard to level 9, as you'll see right here with my dagger expertise, basically having that at rank 9 on any of them will basically give it a actual passive effect, so you no longer need to equip it. It'll instead come over to the right side and will be automatically active all the time. Now, if you really want to, you can grind this out and use this on all of the basic passives that will be helpful to you, like resisting certain elements or whatever it is that you want to do, or basically whatever you think will actually help you out. Basically, just do that. And then, if you still think you're ready, you can then follow me, and we can finally take on OD. As you'll see, the door will now be here, and he will appear. He will tell you that you've made a mistake. He'll pause time. Very similar to some of the other bosses. However, for him, you'll also need to be very careful about when he pauses time. He'll also try and go for a bunch of melee attacks. As you can see, he does quite a lot of damage.
Take this.
Like I said, you're going to want to make sure that you have the most amount of healing that you can from him. You can also kind of bait him into doing certain attacks, of course. Whenever he does his freeze effect, it's basically best just to heal, because it will do a lot of damage. As you can see, you can more or less bait him into doing melee attacks as well. As long as you stay close enough to him, then he will do it. Like I said, once again, when he does his time effect, it's best just to heal up either during or after.
Delicious. Delicious.
As you can see, because we're close enough to him, we can bait him into doing melee attacks. Do note he does have quite a bit of range. And as you see, I just took a lot of damage. Do note as well, there is another trophy for at least trying some of the different foods. As you can see, just kind of barely staying within range and then moving back and forth will bait him into doing melee attacks. Whenever you think he's close to doing his actual one ability, where he'll pause time, basically just get to a corner, as you'll see. But that is the OD fight overall. Once you beat him, you will get the ability to fully stop time, and that will drastically reduce your mana. Like I said, it's a fight that you can wait to do whenever you are ready to do it. I've already done it, of course, and I've already got the platinum for Bloodstained, but it's more or less just a show of the fight in general and how hard it can be. Like I said, even with all the healing items and having probably some of the best defense, I do think the coordination gown is probably the highest defense item you can get in the game in terms of equipment. For at least your head, for at least your body, of course. I don't think there's anything for the head that's better than the demon horns, or I think the Pleiades, but overall, that was the fight for OD. Now we're going to move on to generally the last bits of things that you'll need to do, which is amass 500,000 gold. Now there's a couple ways that you can do that, of course. Now I'm going to show you. So basically you'll go back to the overall farming build or drop chance build, and I'll show you guys exactly where to do that. In the Inferno Cave is one of them. It's the one I like to use because it's very consistent in a sense. But basically you come down here. Alright, so in here, what you're going to want to do is just ignore the fire elemental and the death trap. Come up here, and then all you're going to do is farm the death trap over and over again, and he can sometimes drop the mahogany. The mahogany item sells for quite a lot. It doesn't take long. As you can see, it takes no time at all to defeat him. Now, another thing that you also want to do is make sure that you reach level 50, as that is also a trophy. It'll probably be one of the last few that you'll get, because at this point, you know, you're already in game, and the only stuff you're really going to be killing enemies for is for materials themselves. Do note that you can also drop the cypress, which is another item that sells for quite a bit. Now, do note that this is just one way that you can earn money. As you can see, now I'm going to show you guys the other method. This is the one I think a lot of people have ended up using. There are others if you want to fully look into it. I just like these because they're more or less just simple and straightforward. But the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure that you have the augment gold shard crafted, and you will get that from Johannes. Now, as you'll see, we have the accelerator shard equipped. Pretty easy, if I do say so myself. So then what you're going to want to do is, here at Johannes, you're going to want to come and craft the augment gold. Now, like I said, you're going to need some gold in order to do that. So while we're also here, we can dismantle, like I said, the armor, and that will get us gold. As you'll see right here, it will get us mahogany and gold.
I'll go with this.
And it's actually 17. No, it's 10, and we have 17. So I lied, it's not 13. That's on me. But while I'm talking about it, like I said, I will show you guys how much the mahogany and the cypress sell. That way you guys can see it. So when you go to sell items, you can basically just go to the craftable stuff. As you'll see, the cypress only sells for about 2,500 and the mahogany sells for 1,200 roughly. However, as you saw in that amount of time, we got a couple of them based on just that alone. So as you can see, depending on it, it can be faster than the other one I'm going to show you. Now, like I said, the next one that you're going to want to do is the augment gold. So if we come over here, we can outline the craft the augment gold, as you'll see, like so.
I'll go with this.
Now, if you want to upgrade it, you can as well. It normally just starts off as ectoplasm.
I'll go with this. I'll go with this.
And then eventually turns into holy water and ectoplasm,
I'll go with this.
as you'll see.
I'll go with this.
And then the last two, I think, are two very specific things. It's always two specific things, ectoplasm and gold. As you can see, quite a lot of stuff needed to ensure that you have the passives as well. But basically, I'll show you where you can use this to its full advantage. Now, another thing that you can also do is there is the cut purses ring that you can get that makes enemies more likely to drop gold as well. But you don't need to use that. From here, you're going to head to the Towers of Twin Dragons. Alright, so here at the Towers of Twin Dragons, you're going to want to just simply come over a couple of rooms. You'll actually go past the elevator. And it's this room right here. Basically what you are going to do is you're going to invert. Come on. Invert. There we go. And then all you're going to do is simply just normally run back and forth. The downside, of course, is you need to be able to have it to where it always guarantees that the candles drop gold. But those are the two methods that you can use. Like I said, I'll probably leave a link to a more detailed guide on the gold farming in case you really want to check those out. I more or less prefer the one in the Inferno Cave with the cypress and mahogany. It's a lot easier, as well as working on getting XP to level up to level 50. But that's just me, in my opinion. But from here, we're actually just going to hop over to the main save, and I'm going to show you guys basically what it looks like when you get 100% of the game. It is quite a lot, of course, but trust me, I think you guys will be okay with that. And then I'll also show you off all of the demons in case you missed a couple. So yeah. Alright, so now on the main save, as you can see, by the time I finished, I was level 67. A lot of XP needed for sure. But here, as you can see at the archives, I will show number 44, I believe is the one that I was missing. This is the, like I said, the curse demon. And then I believe the last one at the very bottom was OD, if I'm not correct. Yeah, it is OD right here. Not sure why they don't just show it sometimes, but the model just takes a little bit to appear. But like I said, I will also leave links to the wiki. This will probably be the main source of information, as well as drops from certain enemies. You can also check here to see what enemies can drop. Do note the bosses don't really have that, and those are pretty much all of the bosses are towards the very bottom. So just keep that in mind, as you'll see. But then you can actually check the specifics for drop rates and items, as you'll see right here, as well as their drop rates for the shards that they will drop, as you'll see. Now, as you'll also see, some of these don't have shards, so do keep that in mind. As you'll see, the 8-bits all have shards as well. But moving on to items, as you'll see, you'll need to craft all of the items in all of here. The food items are the ones that are the most annoying. I'll try and leave this on for a little bit so you can scroll down. I'll then try and scroll down once I see one of the ones go away. There we go. This will be the next one. Then I'll do the next one as well, because some of the actual websites don't include all of them and are actually missing some of these items. So like I said, I'll try and leave these on for you guys to see. That way you can pause them, of course. Here's the next set. And then we'll move on to the next. Depending on things, the food and the weapons and armor are probably going to be the last ones that you'll have to do. We'll then move on to the last couple of things. Scrambled eggs we'll get rid of. And then the last one is macaroni and cheese and dark. I don't know why dark matter is included in the foods, but it is. You'll also, like I said, you'll need to just basically get 100%. So at some point in time, you will need to farm and get all of these items to drop. Like I said, the flying beef has a 2% chance to drop, and it's probably one of the rarer items to farm in terms of things for crafting. And like I said, once you have crafted anything in this, you can then go to the shop and buy it. Same for the items collected here in the materials. As like I said, you'll need to at least obtain all of these a couple of times. Do note that the Orichalcum, like I said, is only dropped from the giant axe outsiders in the glacial tomb. There is that hallway that I mentioned that you can use for XP farming to also farm for that as well. But as you'll see, Alexandrite can be farmed from the ice elementals as well as the blue chests in the Den of Behemoths as well as the glacial tomb. It's a chance to drop. Vix Bite can also be from the fire elemental in the Inferno Cave as well as the blue chest found in the Inferno Cave. Do note you will also need to craft and create all of the 8-bit weapons. You don't need to fully upgrade them to 32-bit, you just need to craft them once with 8-bit, then dismantle it to get the 8-bit back. It is annoying. But like I said, the wiki will have all of this information for you to make sure that you go back and get all of these items specifically. Tomes is probably the easiest one, but once you beat OD, you will then have access to all of the tomes, so all of your stats should be super boosted. But like I said, probably the weapons and all that will probably be the last stuff to do, and like I said, it'll take you the longest amount of time to do as well, because there's a lot you'll need to grab and a lot to craft. And some of the items will require you to craft other items just to make them. Like this weapon right here requires you to have the 3 weapons that came before it, but then you get a super cool sword. Here is the main weapon of Miriam, which is pretty cool looking. Try and just go through them. But like I said, this should be the last few things that you'll have to do. Just that, and then the food items as well. Super annoying, like I said. But hopefully this guide has been better than the last one. As always though, this has been Mr. Pilgrim. Like I said, I will leave links to the wiki and other guides in case you don't like the ones that I have put out or shown you. Like I said, you don't have to follow everything exactly as I do. It's more of a reference sheet. But I still hope that they are helpful and informative in any way, shape, or form. But as always, this is Mr. Pilgrim, and I will see you all in the next Platinum Trophy Guide.